Well, speaking of luck, let's send it over to Nicole to see if that weather is playing in our favor.
Yeah, we're still looking pretty lucky in the weather world. Well, it really depends on what kind of weather you like. I think most of us are enjoying this. If you haven't been enjoying the cooler temperatures that we've been having, then you do have some luck in your future because we have a nice little warm up coming ahead as we go into this week. Actually, some signs where we could have another round of some late summer temperatures rolling back into the forecast. So let's break it down starting with today. Here's our observed highs from this afternoon: 64, a little bit chilly in La Crosse, 62 in Eau Claire, even seeing some folks over in southeastern Minnesota and Rochester and Preston sitting at 59 below 60 degrees, 58 in Minneapolis. It was definitely a cool one. If we compare that to our averages, we were well below average for the most part, around 10 to 15 degrees below average. But again, those cooler spots that stay below 60 degrees, 17 degrees below average, 19 degrees below average in Minneapolis. Although we didn't quite see any record low high temperatures, we definitely got close across the area, with most of us getting within a couple degrees of at least tying those records. Not quite any record breakers yet today. We could maybe see some going into tomorrow because we still have another cool day ahead of us, but we would definitely need to make up some ground as far as the cold temperatures go. Tonight we're still staying quite chilly. Again, those typical cold spots: Black River Falls, Sparta staying in the mid and upper 30s, 36 in Black River Falls, 38 in Sparta, and still in the upper 30s for folks further north of I-94. 38 in Eau Claire, definitely a cool morning. 43 in La Crosse. Everybody else really staying in the low 40s, so still overall most of us will be quite chilly. We're still holding on to some of that shower activity that we saw or are seeing right now as well, but that should be finishing up very early on in the overnight period, and then it will be mostly clear. If we do get a couple clouds moving in, that could maybe make a slight impact on our temperatures, keeping us a tad warmer depending on how much cloud coverage we have. Otherwise, for the most part, it's really looking like we'll have another cool night ahead of us. And then going into tomorrow's highs, still pretty cool out there, still well below average. 67 in La Crosse, 64 in Eau Claire, a tad bit warmer than we were today, seeing actually everybody get into the 60s. Nobody staying in the 50s out there tomorrow, but still again well below average. It's going to be less breezy though, so overall a fairly nice fall-like day outside. Still seeing winds blowing out of the northwest, but they're going to be much lighter than we have been, especially the last couple days. It's not going to be the same story though as we go into Monday. We can start to see the winds shift around. They'll eventually be blowing straight out of the south to start the week off on Monday, but they're going to be quite windy, blowing around 15 to 20 miles an hour. That'll put wind gusts likely towards 30 miles per hour. Because of that wind shift though, we have a nice little warm up on the way. Not quite yet in the morning hours, still staying for the most part in the 40s across the area, but Monday's highs back into the low 70s, 73 in La Crosse, 71 in Eau Claire, and we'll continue to see that slow warming trend as we go throughout the rest of the week. Getting close to average as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, especially into the end of the week, actually getting back into the upper 70s. That's pretty close to where our average high is now. For now, our average is sitting at about 79, but once we get a little bit further into the end of the week, our average will likely fall a little bit closer to the mid 70s by the end of the month. We usually see our averages falling into the low 70s, if not the upper 60s. So there is a chance that we'll return to average after multiple days where we've been well below. And even at the end of the forecast, you can see Sunday a high of 80. So we might have another 80-degree day ahead of us. Definitely not unusual to see that in September, and I'm sure a lot of us are ready to have at least one more to say goodbye to summer for.
For sure. I just broke out my jacket. Come on, already 80.
Put it away. We'll bring it back again in a little bit. But
Well, that'll be
another
good.
shot of the 80s will be nice.
All right, thank you, Nicole.